Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. I am staring down what could be the final months of my marriage. I, 30 male, and my wife, 30 female, have been in a wonderful relationship for the past 11 years. We are college sweethearts and have been through so much together, from living in multiple cities, to eloping and dealing with our angry friends and families together, to seeing each other through the death of loved ones, to getting our first and second cats together. We lived our second childhoods together, as we like to call it, and have had the most loving relationship I could ever ask for. Well, earlier this year, that all came crashing down for me. This year, my wife came out to me as polyamorous and told me that it was just something she was learning about herself. I felt taken aback by it and felt all sorts of insecurities. Am I not enough? Is this relationship a joke to you? Why do you need to bang other people? Of course, I didn't say any of these things to her, but instead tried to remain calm and discuss the topic with her. She told me that it wasn't something she necessarily had the energy to pursue, but that it was a side of her she was interested in exploring eventually. That gave me some relief, because at least I felt like I had time to process everything with her and learn more about polyamory, and maybe challenge myself to see if I just learned more, then it would be okay. After she told me, we were talking about polyamory and what that might look like for us every now and then on date nights. I was always uncomfortable talking about it, because in truth, I just want her. I don't want to think about other partners every time I think about her. I want her, and only her. Why can't I be enough? If she is truly polyamorous and wants other people in her, doesn't that imply that I was never enough? Anyways, I entertained the idea because, well, she has always been bisexual, and there was always a part of me that felt guilty for trapping her in a heterosexual relationship. See, I was her first and only, and sometimes I wonder if part of her feels like her queerness never really got to be expressed because of that. So maybe this could work. And hey, it's not like it's realistic to expect that either of us would ever feel attraction of any kind to someone else. It's just about whether it's acted on or not. The months pass and we both learn more about polyamory and what that can look like. We like the idea of a mono or polyhierarchical relationship, and I stupidly think, yeah, our love is so strong, I will definitely learn to want this. I'll be the primary partner and I'll always come first. I believe her when she says that, because she's only ever been 100% there for me through thick and thin. But inside, I'm worried, because if she finds another, won't she stop being there for me 100%? I tell her my fears and she comforts me, telling me that I am the love of her life and that she's not going anywhere. But then again, if she wants to see other people, isn't she going somewhere? I love her so much and want to believe her, but I find myself dying inside whenever consensual non-monogamy or polyamory is brought up. I start reading all the propaganda out there by people in polyamorous relationships. Oh, it's so ethical, monogamists don't even know how to communicate. Most one-on-one marriages fail because we're not evolved for that. We have so much love to give. I start telling myself all those sweet nothings and denying myself the right to want monogamy. And the thing is, I believe my wife when she tells me that she would prioritize me. The freaking problem is, I don't want that. I don't want someone to just come by and take her away from me, ever. I don't want someone to call themselves her partner, because I want to be the only one. I have given her all of myself, and she's always given all of herself to me. And I'm here making myself feel selfish for not wanting to share. Sue me. Well, this all came to a head one day when she finally came to me with what I didn't want to hear. She developed feelings for someone else and wanted to tell me about it for transparency. She's always been honest and transparent with me, but man, did this one hit me like a freaking truck. She assured me that she hasn't acted on it, that person doesn't know, and she doesn't have to take it any further than I am comfortable with. But I get a panic attack and start having visions of her leaving me. We talk a lot and she spends a lot of time comforting me, and we agree to see a poly-friendly therapist who can guide us through what we're going through. We go see the therapist, and she points out that we have a wonderful relationship, but our communication had broken down. So my wife had agreed that we wouldn't do anything with polyamory this year, and while she hasn't acted on anything, telling me was basically asking me to move things forward. I eventually break down and confess that I don't want any of this, and that I hadn't been allowing myself to be okay with wanting the beautiful relationship we already have. It's a tough conversation that the therapist guides us through, and eventually we decide to put a formal pause to polyamory talks. My life had been suffering because of a lot of losses simultaneously. My best friend decided to stop being friends with me because she was jealous of my wife, my workplace laid off my best friends and left only me behind, and my grandmother died. I haven't been sleeping well and I've been gaining weight. I just need my life to be stable for a little bit. We all eventually agree that it's best that we take a few months to work our communication and to help me move on from a lot of the loss I have been experiencing. She promises that we can go as slow as we need to and that I can have more time if I want. She won't act on any feelings and promises to treat the topic as delicately and sparsely as she can. But she also admits that being poly is something she needs, and she has so much love to give. We'll be monogamous for a few more months while I get my act together, I guess. The thing is, she has been so wonderful to me, and we have had such a beautiful life together. I don't want anyone else but her, and I want her all to myself. I can have her for a few more months, and I'm afraid that when those months pass and it's time to revisit this conversation, I'll be changed and learn to be okay with this. I'll be okay and watch the world we built together slowly fade, watch her walk away from me as I stop being the only one in her life. The thing is, I already stopped being that to her the moment she figured she was poly. My relationship with her as I know it has already ended, and I'm staring down our final months as a monogamous couple. I'm trying to hold myself together and be a better husband and partner anyway. If I'm going to be let down in the end, I might as well have the best freaking last months with her as I know it. This could all work out, or it couldn't. Either way, my marriage as I knew it is essentially over. There's something else there now in its place. I never wanted this, but it's what I get. Part of me prays that if I ever entertain this poly nonsense, a few months from now, that she starts dating and realizes that dating freaking sucks and, never mind, I'm not poly, just silly. But that's just a fantasy. I got a few months left with her. Then, us as we knew it is done. We'll be something else. Maybe it can be better, but I get this nagging feeling that I'll have to learn to let her go already. She has so much love to give, and one day I won't be the only one. And maybe it'll be over. I'm broken, but I know this isn't necessarily the end. Now for the top advice. Polyamory will only work if both parties are 110% invested. If or when you eventually give in, you're going to hold a lot of resentment towards your partner. You need to sit down with your partner and tell them that you don't feel comfortable moving forward with polyamory, and that if they value polyamory more than your monogamous relationship, then it's best if you end things. Being forced into a polyamorous marriage will completely wreck your mental health, so rather give them the option of being monogamous and staying married, or continue their polyamorous journey as a divorced or single person, as you want nothing to do with that lifestyle. And even if both sides are 110% invested, it's common for people to sour on it quickly once they actually see their partner with someone else. A lot of people think it's sexy as a hypothetical, but find it a lot less enjoyable in reality. It's referred to as poly under duress, and yes, it will kill any marriage stone dead. For sure killed the relationship I had with my best friend and now ex-boyfriend. He could see how much he was hurting me, so he broke up with me. And then he ended up confessing to me that he wanted to be monogamous with her. TLDR, it's a year and a half later, and he's extremely depressed because she threw him out and broke up with him. He told me he ruined his only chance at a normal, stable life. I feel bad, but at the same time I don't, because he literally asked for this. I tried to tell him, but he didn't listen to me. Dude, I mean this with the most love and respect can muster for a stranger on her. Try to develop some self-respect and lay down your boundaries. She had laid the boundary that this is something she needs. If not now, then a few months or years from now. She's taking care of herself, so you need to lay down the boundary that you need her, not bits and pieces of her. Sounds like she needs polyamory and OP needs monogamy. So OP and his wife really need to ask themselves if polyamory is worth losing her spouse over. It sounds like the answer is yes for both of them. Grabbing my popcorn for the post where OP says his wife wants him back and she made a huge mistake, but he has moved on. Needs polyamory. Nobody needs to bang other people. Thank you. It's 100% a choice, which she has every right to make, but let's call a spade law. I 30 male walked in on my wife 30 female with a co-worker and feel ashamed for considering giving her a second chance. Original post. I was out overnight with cousins celebrating the holidays early. My wife of 2 months was unable to make it because she was working her second job, a bar gig she picked up about a month ago to pay off her debts. She told me she was inviting her gay coworker in his 30s back to our apartment around 1:30 a.m. They had a drink post-shift and revealed he had stage 3 cancer. She wanted to continue the drinking and said 2 other guys might join. Her and these coworkers got back to our apartment around 2:30 a.m. and continued to drink most of the liquor we had in the apartment, nearly 2 to 3 bottles. I was assaulted in the city late night and spent the night in the hospital. She got word of the incident around 5 a.m., called me to check on me, and called my parents to talk to them about the incident. Around 8 in the morning, she called me to ask how things were going and if I was going to make it home. She sounded like a different person, barely coherent, and could hardly put a sentence together. I hardly recognized her. So I told her I was heading home and would be there in about an hour. I arrived home at around 9:15 and opened my door to find a man I had never seen before jumping up to zip up his pants, and my wife stumbling towards the bathroom with her pants around her knees. I told the man to leave before I did something stupid, and he instantly left. I was in shock and just kept shouting why. Apparently her gay co-worker, this guy's best friend, left at 8:45, and she just started to hook up with this guy right before I opened the door. She has admitted to me they were hooking up, but thinks it was only for a minute or two. I left the apartment and was able to get my parents and brother there to help me gather all my stuff and move back to my parents' house. By 11, I had almost all of my belongings out of our apartment. Some background. My wife and I were trying to have a baby earlier this year. Early in the pregnancy, the doctors noticed some very bad indicators that meant the baby would either not make it to term or die just after birth. My wife decided the best course of action was to terminate because the doctors said there was no hope for the baby's survival. This was in July. My wife and I have been working opposite schedules for the last 8 months. We get a day and a half each week together. She hates her job and has had a very hard time not seeing me. She has been severely depressed since losing the baby and binge drinking on the weekends to cope. We still wanted to try for a baby again, but I told her I would not until she stopped the drinking. She has had no desire for intimacy since the abortion. Other than to try and conceive, she has shown me zero desire sexually. Occasionally we have been doing it, but it is very clear she is only doing it because she knows I want it. Her story, she claims to me that she doesn't even have any recollection of what happened. However, she admits it was not forced and that she chose to do it. She can't believe she did it and has no idea how she let herself do it. She had never spoken to this guy outside of work and doesn't have his phone number or social media to have a way to talk to him. She told me she does not remember talking to me in the morning and hardly can remember me even walking in. She tells me that it was purely a physical instinct that somehow came out because she was so heavily intoxicated. She has never cheated before, and there has never been a single indication for me to say otherwise. She has been begging me to come back to our apartment, swearing she will never drink again because she knows she has a problem. She said she will start to get therapy to help her severe depression. She is willing to go to a counselor as a way for us to start the healing. She says she can't imagine a life without me and still wants to have that future. I am completely broken. 2 of the most traumatic incidents in my life occurred within a day. A small part of me wants to end it and never see her again. But in my heart, I know I love this person beyond words and still can imagine the future we wanted to have. I feel ashamed for even considering giving her another chance. But I genuinely believe this was an extremely intoxicated, isolated mistake, and that she truly does want to make the changes to fix our marriage. If there's any other info you need to give me proper advice, just ask. Now for the top advice. Just divorce her buddy or get an annulment. She would never cheat on you if she loved you. She's supposed to be in the honeymoon phase. Don't build a life around this cheating troll. That is a strong point. This is the honeymoon phase, and that's the action she took. I had to go back to read it's only been 2 months. Been together for 2.5 years. Married 2 months. Met right when COVID started, so both unemployed and spent the first 3 months together every day. Basically have lived together for the whole relationship because I was there so often at the start. Nope. Time for you to move on. You were attacked and ended up in hospital, and her immediate response was to not go to your side but bang another dude. There's a scenario or two here. That gay coworker doesn't exist or is very much not gay. And she was likely cheating on you long before you caught them, and she would have taken it to her grave. You would have never known she was banging other dudes behind your back. A few really bad red flags. 1. You were seriously harmed and ended up in hospital, and she didn't immediately sober up and go to you. 2. Her story shifted 5 times in the frame of a few minutes of being caught. 3. The ambiguity of this coworker and suddenly inviting more people over when having told you what was happening earlier, as in more shifting plans. 4. The constant and consistent time checks and the repeated will you be home questions. 5. Blaming it on alcohol. 6. The immediate cover stories. I don't even know this guy. Okay, a likely story if she was out at a bar or something, but this was pre-planned. She had plans to bring someone over. She had plans to bring this guy over. Why the hell would a seeing a friend who has cancer turn into, he wants me to invite his friends to our house who I've never met before? The logic of it all falls apart. They drank 3 bottles of hard liquor awfully fast for what should have been a relatively summer affair. I'm sorry, mate, but what she did was some next-level sociopathic crap, and if you forgive her, you are a fool. You may still love her, but that just means you need to stop loving her. She betrayed you, lied to you, left you at your most vulnerable for some cheap prick, and she only wants forgiveness cause she was caught. As fair as cheating goes, that's pretty damn high on the list of non-redeemability. At many turns here, could she have done something, anything redeemable, and again she chose the most despicable things to do to you and your relationship. At every turn and corner she chose to throw it all away. Years of effort and love and devotion, just banged away for some dude who she claims to not even know. That's how little she values you as a person, and how little she values your relationship. Don't fall prey to the sunk cost fallacy either. A sinking ship is going to sink, whether it's been sailing for 1 year or 20 years, and trying to patch either when they are sinking that fast is only going to lead to you drowning as well. Yup. I asked what the guys said when she was on the phone with me, and then my parents talking about what happened. And she told me neither of them could care at all. She continued to just drink with them knowing my current situation. Then those dudes were there to sleep with her, any and all of them. Not one of them were her friends. My husband was just assaulted and is now in hospital. Should elicit responses from any actual friends, such as "Holy crap, do you need a lift to the hospital? Is he okay? We will get out of your hair so you can go to him. I have a sober friend who could take you." Not, "Damn, that's crazy. Pour another shot." Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update. Am I wrong for refusing to sell my horse? Original post. Me 24 female and my boyfriend 26 have been dating for around 9 months. I've been riding horses since around 4 years old when I started taking lessons. When I was then I started helping out this girl at the stable with her horse lady. At 12 she told her she had to sell her due to time and interest, and asked if me and my parents wanted to buy lady. Luckily for me, my parents were able to buy her, and she's been mine ever since. She's my bestest friend and I love her a lot. When I started to date my boyfriend, I was very honest with the fact that my horse takes a lot of time, and he was fine with this. When single, I could spend like 3 to 4 hours a day in the stable, but as we started dating I cut this down to about 3 hours every other day, as this is roughly how long it takes for me to do all the cleaning, preparing food, riding. Also, most of my friends are at the stable, which obviously means this is also social for me. The other days I would not ride, and try to spend less time talking, which would make it about an hour. After about 6 months, he told me I spent too much time at the stable, and I should prioritize my relationship more, and somehow his family got involved in saying it was strange to prioritize her the way I did. I wasn't comfortable with this, but I am a bit of a pushover, so I agreed. At first this meant cutting down time at the stable, but it has evolved into cutting down riding days. Now I ride about 2 days a week, and the rest I'm simply there to do the basics. All of this as quickly as I can, because otherwise, I know he'll be annoyed and angry for days, and give me the silent treatment. I know my horse isn't really suffering from not being ridden as often as before, but I still feel very guilty that I'm always rushing around her. Then last night he told me it was time to sell lady. I laughed at him and asked if he was serious. He was. I told him no, and he said I needed to start prioritizing this relationship more, and I said I've done nothing but prioritize this relationship. We argued about it and he apparently thinks I can just put her down as she's old anyways. I was furious at this and told him that was absolutely not happening and I would never sell her. He said that any reasonable person would sell or put down their horse in favor of their boyfriend, and the only reason I wouldn't is because I only hang out with other insane horse people. So I come to you reasonable people of Reddit, am I wrong? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Not wrong. Info, what is he sacrificed or compromised on for the relationship? Dump the loser. Sounds like the horse will support you more than the man. I've had a similar conversation with a mate. I'm happy to speak to your soon-to-be ex too. Pretty early on in the relationship, he decided to take a job in the town I work in. He lives in like 40 minutes away. I didn't ask him to do this, but this is what he brings up when I tell him I've tried to compromise. I took a new job for you, and so you should compromise more. That is manipulation. Run away, don't walk, and make sure you're safe. Holy not the idiot. Your boyfriend sounds controlling AF. You've worked hard to compromise with him, but he keeps moving the line until he eventually gets everything he wants, and you have sacrificed everything important to you. A lot of abusive partners start the cycle by trying to isolate their partner. You have a whole support network at the barn, and he wants you to give all that up in addition to your horse, who is like a member of your family to you. This is super messed up and a huge red flag. I know it really hurts, but be grateful he's shown you who he really is and how he doesn't prioritize or frankly care about your feelings and well-being. I'd run, not walk away from this guy. Don't forget he gives her the silent treatment and will be mad for days when she doesn't comply. Opus, you have a life, friends and hobbies you enjoy, and he doesn't like that. Cut and ride, baby. Not wrong. Not wrong. Slowly escalating demands that you give up your hobbies and things you care about is a classic mistreatment tactic. Making you feel guilty about the way you spend your time, especially when you've always spent your time that way, is a classic mistreatment tactic. Trying to force you go get rid of people or animals you care about is a classic mistreatment tactic. I'm starting to sound like a broken record here, but best you get out while that's the only thing broken. These tactics are meant to break your spirit, your will, your confidence, and your self-worth. Those are all far too valuable to allow him to break them. Plus, most of her friends are at the stable. She's already cut down her socialization time with her other friends in order to spend more time with him, and now he wants to get rid of any reason for her to go to the stable at all. That's classic isolation. Not wrong, keep your horse. Your friends probably miss riding with you. Time for your boyfriend to compromise or get out. She should really get out. Especially since he then called her friends insane horse people. That's just disrespectful and definitely trying to isolate. Edit. So I never expected this to get as much attention as it did. I'm very overwhelmed and thankful for all your kind comments and messages. I am currently sitting with Lady in her stable, crying my eyes out because this has been such a wake-up call for me. My boyfriend left to visit his family and friends in his old town earlier today before I posted, so for everyone worried, all is well for now and I will handle this as soon as possible. First, I need to go home and sleep. Thank you all for being wonderful. Now for the first update. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who commented and sent me messages. I never thought my post would get as much attention as it did. It was very overwhelming. But again, thank you for your kindness and support. Also, thank you to the people who sent pictures of their horses. All of them are very cute. Anyway, you guys were right. I don't know why I didn't see it myself, but this behavior of isolating me has been going on for a while. He would say it was strange how much time I spent with my family, that adults didn't spend that much time with their family. When I pointed out he also spent a lot of time with his family, I was imagining and exaggerating things. There was so much going on, and for some reason I didn't realize it. He would make me feel guilty all the time. For the smallest things. Me and boyfriend didn't live together officially, because I thought it was too early. But since he had taken a job in the town where I live for me, he convinced me that him staying here during the weeks was a good idea. I feel incredibly stupid for not standing up for myself. I am a bit of a pushover, and I guess he realized that if he made me feel guilty, I would eventually give in. And I did. Just so many instances of him pushing my boundaries. Now the update, I called my brother on Saturday morning, and he came and helped me pack up everything my boyfriend left in my apartment. Then I texted my boyfriend to break up with him. Maybe I should have done it in person, but honestly, I don't want to see him again. He called a bunch before I answered. He was confused. At first, he tried to ask me what was wrong, what had happened. He got angry when I told him, saying he can't believe I was breaking up with him over a minor disagreement, and when I said him wanting me to off my horse isn't a minor disagreement, he said I must be misremembering. I eventually hung up, texted him that his things were packed, and free to pick up on the first floor of my building anytime. Then I blocked him. Haven't heard from him since. I was able to change my locks yesterday Monday, thankfully. Through mutual friends, I got in touch with his ex-girlfriend and we chatted on Instagram. I don't really want to say everything that she told me as it's not my story to tell, but I will say I'm very happy I got out right now this early. Since Friday when I posted, I've spent pretty much all day every day with Lady, my friends and family. I haven't been this happy in months, can't believe it took Reddit to get me here lol. For all those worried about Lady's safety, I too am a little worried, but it's eased by the fact that he never went to the stable with me, so I'm pretty sure he doesn't know where it is. And B, while I live in a country with a lot stricter gun laws than the US, the old man who owns the stable is a hunter and has assured me, with a lil wink, he will keep an eye out for any strangers lurking around. So that's all. I am safe and so is Lady. Both of us are a lot happier than we were 4 days ago, and a lot of it is thanks to all of you. So again, thanks so much for all the kindness. I'm so glad to read this. Make sure you remember this experience for next relationship too, as people have a tendency to miss the red flag behaviors, and also pick the same types of people over and over again. Be safe. I definitely will. Thank you. Just wanted to reply and say you definitely made the right decision. My ex of 7 years was pushing me to put my healthy but unrideable 11-year-old thoroughbred down for over a year before he broke up with me. I was even stupidly considering it. I wish I'd seen the signs of how unhealthy and controlling that relationship and his family had become. I was severely depressed for months before the breakup and never even saw why or saw it coming. I'm in an infinitely better relationship now with a man who pushes me to be at the barn more and give the best life to my horses, and my now 13-year-old thoroughbred is healthier and happier than he's ever been too. Best of luck and love to you and lady. Oh, I'm so happy to hear you're in a better situation now. Hopefully a future boyfriend will be supportive. Thank you for your comment. Yay. Girl, I'm so proud of you for being strong and having such a great family. As someone in a relationship with an abuse survivor in a similar isolating pattern, I'm so happy you got out now, because it only gets worse from there. And it says so much your brother was so ride or die. Even after isolating from him, he came and helped you right away. Sadly, my horse passed away many years ago, but I still dream about him. Lady is so important, and so much more than just a pet. She's a hobby and a passion too, and you deserve someone who sees and understands that. To many more years together. Second update. I posted on Reddit almost a year ago seeking help and advice on a bizarre situation that happened in my relationship. At the time I was in a somewhat harmful relationship, or at least the beginning of it. I read my post back a while ago and realized how much I sugar-coated things at the time. Part of me was still in denial, I think. I didn't describe any of the aggressive outburst. The yelling, throwing things, pushing, grabbing. He never hit me, it never got that far, but in hindsight, I think that's where things were heading. Still, people on here saw red flags and told me to get away. I guess thousands of people telling you something is very effective, and I broke up with him that day. I never told my family that Reddit was the reasons I left that day. I still feel bad that their concerns and warnings weren't enough to make me leave before it was too late, but random internet strangers were. I've only told my therapist. Sorry that you're not getting more credit in real life, folks. This week, I found out that my ex-boyfriend has been arrested for unliving his girlfriend. News travels fast between small towns. I knew he had a new girlfriend. They met fairly quickly after I dumped him. I didn't know her or who she was, just heard it from other people. I looked up her Instagram when I found out he was arrested. She seems nice, from what little I can make out from pictures and captions. I feel guilty that I didn't track her down when they met and warned her, but when I found out he had another girlfriend, all I could think was, thank God, then he will forget about me. Does that make me an awful person? Maybe, I don't know. And I could never imagine he would do something like this. Even now it doesn't feel real. Yes, he had anger management issues, but murder. It's just difficult to comprehend. I'm rambling, sorry. It's been a crazy few days, but I feel really grateful to the people on here. Because that could have been me if I had stayed with him, if people hadn't shaken me awake. So thank you, Reddit people. Also, screw you, Adam. Hope you rot in hell. I remember you, and I'm so glad you got out when you did, before things got worse. Remember not to let survivor's guilt get to you. What he did is on him. OMG, I was one of those strangers telling you to get out. I remember your update and being happy that you got out, and your horse was okay and protected by your friend in case he tried something. If you had tried to warn her, it would have gone one of several ways. 1. She believed you and got out. Then he would be angry at you and redirect his anger back at you. 2. She didn't believe you, and he would have painted you as the jealous ex trying to get back with him. And she would have had the same unfortunate fate. As the top comment said, do not let survivor's guilt affect you. There wasn't anything you could have done. I remember that post. Anyone who suggests ending a beloved pet for their convenience is someone I would run, not walk away from. I'm glad OP is safe, and she and Lady escaped this man. Yeah, and she said he never even went to the stable. Like, this horse is obviously a very important part of her life, and he's never even bothered to meet her. I feel like that's a red flag even before it got to the part of the boyfriend wanting to off the pet. Last story. My brother unknowingly saved my life 10 years ago. Today I finally told him. Me and my little brother always had a very strong bond. We never actually argued or been mean to each other. We always covered each other's back and overall been very affectionate towards each other. We come from complicated background, with chaotic family relationships and performance-oriented parents. I moved out as soon as possible, now happily married to an awesome man, far away from my previous home. My little brother is struggling under pressure my parents are putting on him, forcing him to be a man, having good grades and excel in sports, and even though he is now legally adult, he's still living with them. He is facing great opportunities, being chosen for next national football team, but is exhausted both mentally and physically, and overall under a lot of pressure, especially from the side of our father. For last year, he is constantly stressed and has severe insomnia. We are in contact almost every day, and I am trying to help him, offered him to move with us multiple times, but he is too afraid of our father to do it. Today I could not sleep because my husband is snoring heavily during this time of a year, so I was just browsing internet when my brother messaged me asking for help. He said that I am the only person he can talk about it, and that he is thinking of some bad things and does not know what to do. He was in very bad state of mind, basically falling apart. I immediately told him to come see us and stay for a while and said that we can resolve it together. I was so afraid, but also very happy he reached to me and asked for help. He is gentle giant type of guy, being forced to ignore his own needs to perform good enough in the eyes of our parents, with no tolerance for mental health issues. He had several injuries related to sport, some quite severe, problems in school. There is a possibility he would need to repeat whole year and will not be able to make it to final exams. We have been talking for whole night. He said I am his most beloved person and thanked me for being with him. I told him that it is nothing to thank for because he is my little cupcake and I love him no matter what. And then I told him what happened 10 years ago. I was 16 and he was 9. I was not well, battling with undiagnosed mental illness, bullying, and eating disorder. I felt alone, with no support and basically in the same situation as him, but not as strong as him to ask for help. One evening after argument with my father, I decided to end things. I went to my room, sat next to my bed and prepared myself for the next step. Then I heard my brother knocking on door. He asked if I want to play our Pokemon game. We basically pretended to be Pokemon trainers, catching imaginary Pokemons and having fun. I sat there in silence for a while, with a razor in my hand. Then he asked again. I put razor back and unlocked the door. I was crying and he was confused because I was smiling the same time. He told me that he will let me choose my Pokemon first to cheer me up. I hugged him and cried like an idiot, then we played together. Today I told him that he saved my life, even though he did not know about it back then. And we both cried. After this, we agreed on getting him immediate medical and psychological help, not telling anyone except my husband, who is incredibly kind and supportive. Then we will arrange things so he can stay with us for a while. Sorry for being sentimental, I just needed to tell anyone that there is no weakness in asking for help. It is very brave. I think that sometimes one just needs to play Pokemon games. It can change so many things. My brother did the same for me when we were 15 and 8. I was in the bathroom about to do the unthinkable, and he knocked on the door. He asked, "Can you make us some meatball soup when you're done?" And it hit me in that second, if I am not around, nobody will take care of him. The most important person in my life would have nobody on his side. Our parents were in art useless, and he can't fend for himself. I got his name tattooed on my arm last Friday, so that whenever I'm feeling like I need to end things, I have the reminder of why I live. Despite him being 17 now and is close to adulthood, we still need each other. My older brother left his 7-year awful relationship and came back in my sister's and I's lives, having to come back home with our parents. My sister was also going through a horrible relationship as the three of us were all raised with very minimal emotional and mental support from parents who believed that you have house, food, and water, what else do you need? One day my brother came home early from work and found my sister sitting alone at the table with a bottle of pills ready to end herself and basically thinking about it alone at the dining table. My brother found her before she did it, and she just sobbed in his arms, and that became the catalyst to leaving her crappy ex. My brother, sister, and I have matching triquetra tattoos as a result of that happening, because if it weren't for my brother, we wouldn't have each other, and it was the best way to ensure that no matter what happens with our lives, we'll still be thinking about each other and ready to help when needed, especially for my sister who I love dearly, and would have absolutely lost my mind if I lost her to some loser ex.